Hello, gorgeous folk. How the dickens are you? Today I'm going to talk about compliance in two ways. Compliance, something that we've been shouting about for a long time, do not do it. And also the propensity that we have for compliance as a human race. So I'll tell you all about it on the other side. Well, holy cow. Last night, my wife and I sat and watched a film called Compliance. I don't know if you've seen it, and I believe the director's Michael Moore. But what a film. What a film. But it's not a film. It's a true story. And as we watched it, probably one of the most uncomfortable films that I've watched in a long while. It's like Ricky Gervais, uncomfortable, multiplied by 100. It was incredible. And I'm not going to tell you the story because I would rather that you watched it. But what it shows is the capacity that man has for doing the most outrageous things, the most indescribable, cruel, horrible, perverted, disgusting things, all in the name of following the rules. And you can fill in the gap, following the science, following the law, following the government rules, following the mandates, doesn't matter. And this was a true story of what really happened. And today we actually looked at the footage of the real story. And it's worse. There in the film, I think they actually toned it down just a smidgen. But they did a fantastic job. But what it showed me was something that we've seen, and they've done loads of experiments like this. The experiment where they get people to give electric shocks to somebody who has to answer questions, who signed a paper saying they'll do it, and behind them there's a man in a white coat with a clipboard saying, no, continue. And these people were giving up to beyond 250 volts, which is killer voltage. And I think it was something like 70% of the people went up that high to killer voltage. 70%. Okay, some people didn't, but the vast majority of them did. And then there's loads of other things that they've done, not quite as awful as that, but getting 7 people sitting in a waiting room, 6 of them are actors, 1 isn't, and the 6 people, there's a bell rings and everybody stands up. And the person who isn't the actor looks and he stands up as well. And then the bell rings again and they all sit down. And they just keep doing that. And then they replace the people. Keeping the one non-actor. And in the end, the one non-actor is telling people that they have to stand up when the bell rings. And then they have to sit down when the bell rings. And it's in a very short space of time that person is then telling people what they have to do. The other example is in the lift. I don't know if you've seen that. A group of actors in a lift, one person, a non-actor, goes in, and suddenly everybody turns and faces the back of the lift, which is not what you do. You face the front of the lift. And the person, the non-actor, turns and faces the same way. Doesn't know why. Just because everybody else is doing it. And so we bow to authority, right? It's a fundamental part of who we are. It's how we've been indoctrinated. It's how we've been socially molded to bow to authority. They've done a fucking good job. And you can see that in this film, Compliance. Man, have they done a good job. Even when, right, so the film goes, and again, I'm not going to give you the story, but the film goes like this. People are asked to do certain things, and they do them, and these are what you might call reasonable to a point. Then it reaches a point where it's so unreasonable, it's so clearly mad, but they keep going because they've committed. Now, once you've made that commitment, but also it's because the person who was doing it was in a position of authority, or at least perceived authority. And we've lived that, haven't we? I firmly believe that during the pandemic, if they had said to people, it's perfectly right, in fact, it's a duty that you do terrible things to people who haven't had that. Okay? If they said that on the TV, it's only right that you should do that. These people need to be punished. I know that a large amount of people would have done that, because if it came from authority, imagine the government said it, they would do that. I know that people here would go on the balcony, and anyone that was walking along the street, they would throw things at them and tell them to get back in the house. People, wow, I mean, you know, I love people. I think we're wonderful. But boy, are we weak. Boy, are we easily manipulated. You know, and we know that. I'm preaching to the choir. We know that. But boy, I think something fundamental has to happen. Something fundamental. Something fundamentally has gone wrong with our society when people are able to be blind, just like in that film, Compliance. They were blind to the obvious. You know, the boy shouting, "The Emperor's got no clothes on," and everyone's going, "Wow, what beautiful clothes." How many times do we have to have this story shown to us over and over again before we wake up? Lots of us are waking up now. Lots of us. Lots and lots and lots and lots. But hey, go back 4 years. Friggin' hell, the people who were asleep were terribly dangerous. Terribly dangerous. And so I wonder what this world will be like once people find their values again. You know, I think the people in that film, they all had values, for sure. And their values wouldn't allow them, just out of the blue, to do what they did. But when they're manipulated, yes. And so I think we're going to get to a point where our values become so front line and centre. Is that what we say? Front and centre. They become so very clear to us that we would never in a million years do that to anybody. We would never ever impose something that was patently wrong on people, like the way that they did during those years. So the film is one of the best films that I've seen, because it just brings home to me the capacity that humankind has, and why I was shocked. Why I was shocked by what happened during their pandemic. I don't know. I don't know why I was shocked, but I was, and you know, it's taken me a long while to come to terms with that. And I don't think my wife's over it, you know, in terms of how she feels about the potential that people have for doing danger, you know, doing damage to people. But in lots of respects, I'm so glad that I know it now. I'm glad that I know it because it protects me. Before I was naive. Before, at the beginning of when all of that started, I said, oh, people are going to see this. Here in Spain, what? Wearing a mask in 40 degrees. Everyone's going to say, no fucking way. They just did it. People were passing out all over, but keep your mask on, eh? Keep your mask on. So I learned a valuable lesson, and I'm so pleased that I did, and now it keeps me safe, because I know to rein in my expectations of groupthink. Not individual people. Individual people are lovely generally, but put them in a group and put somebody in a white coat or a uniform or behind a podium, and they've got them. They've got them hook, line and sinker. And intelligence has got fuck all to do with it, because there are lots of people in my family who I consider to be extremely intelligent, and they behaved like twats. However, That's their business. But now I know. Now I know. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'll never be fooled again. What do you think? Put your thoughts in the comments, please. I love you all and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.